Welcome to Answers from the Universe and the Andronicus transmissions on Wolf Spirit Radio, Ever Beyond Radio, and Studio 9 Jam on YouTube. With your host, Jessica Ariel Morocco, featuring JP as the voice of Andronicus. Please visit www.readingsbyrael.com, that's A-R-A-E-L.
From the future, by way of the past. I bought my ticket for the 15th century. We started moving through a hole in history.
You're listening to Wolf Spirit Radio.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today at Answers from the Universe. I am so happy to be here, and we're going to continue on with the Andronicus transmissions. In here with JP. Hello, JP. How are you?
Greetings, my dear. Greetings. We have... Sorry. That sounded a bit 15th century, didn't it?
Technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties. I'm living in a 16th century cottage. We're reading out 15th century material, and we're trying to do it in a 21st century setup that doesn't work. All right, so
one of these days we're going to correct that.
Yeah, well, we did it last week quite well, and I think we'll keep that as the template. I tell you, this week has been a bit turbulent, I would say, on the planes, and for instance. The screen that I'm looking at right now has a very green cast to it. It's like the red wire is broken in the cable. So, so I've got one screen that's a good color on the left and one screen that's kind of colorblind on the right. Yes. I suppose that's kind of like me. What else was going on? We've been trying to get onto Google, so apologies to everybody. Thank you for being patient. We'll do a shorter show this week, but it should be more densely packed with information.
Right. And then, maybe at some point, we'll get back into doing the video again. And we had a lot of fun doing that, but I do want to looks like we're short for time, so less small talk and we'll
That's
move
right.
on.
Less idle chit-chat and let's get on with the news. All right, so let me, because also my computer crashed just, when I looked underneath to see why. I didn't want, something, the mains came out. Anyway, so I've got to go and get back right, okay, so shall we start with Andronicus 37?
Yes.
And let me engage the magic time machine.
Okay.
There we are. Greetings, my friends. I am venturing through the non-colloidal field of nothingness. All is absence and in waste. My perceptions of coordinate... Oh, God. I can hardly say this. Right. Yeah, I'm going to rent some new teeth next week. All is absence and in waste. My perceptions of coordinates are dimly lit, and I seem to be floating. Floating? I see. Oh, my mouth is in such a terrible place. All right. My perceptions of coordinates are dimly lit, and I seem to be floating like a bag of weeds within the womb of an ungracious mother. Wow. How unfortunate to acquire such esteem and privilege to then lay faltering by a bunch of vagabonds, searching through the very skins of my attire. I am reproachable beyond reproach. What self-loathing in the past does not do this justice? Certainly I had caused this flesh-eating disease to surrender in bitterness. I have control over the plagues of death, yet can someone deliver me from this horrid affair, this likeness to emptiness in a way that emptiness cannot be pronounced?
I observed Andronicus in a hard bed with needles sticking out of him in a dark, rancid type of opium den.
Here I lay in den far worse than any dragon's den or lair of lioness. It is the opiate den that captured my soul and squeezed the very essence of my being down to a speck of empty air. I am forlorn and halt my breath on occasion, only to remember that it is me who is allowing my own self to not breathe. I am self-suffocating, reaching for the drop of bitter juice that lay beside me, and the bugs run through me once again. The courtesan awaits me in her perfumery and false painted smile. Beneath her breath is death, and she looms over me like a nightmare of horror. I once loved this creature in her dalliance of charms and meticulous grooming that far outweighed her appearance. There was never a glimmer in her eye of consciousness. She preyed upon me like a lavish dessert waiting to be consumed. I indulged her appetite, only to discover that it was my soul she desired to destroy. Her hatred for my kind, or seemingly my kind, being of a Caucasian race, she assumed me to be her first victim of submission. My loathing of her made me go deeper into hatred, and now, even now, I am awaiting my painful, torturous death that she continues to devise with the horrid beasts in this den. I am weary of looking at the old men with crooked faces and the laughing monster whose eyes are looking into the best beasts of the underworld.
Andronicus, can you hear me? I will help you get out.
What say you? Soft voice from afar? You whisper like a distant bird whose song has grown dim.
Andronicus, does she intend to kill you?
I am already dead, and she is my hell. She sticks me with needles day and night, and I cannot die because I am not mortal. This further enrages her. I am sick by her hatred and murderous heart. She wants to prove her race is far superior. She does not understand that I'm not human. She thinks I am lying and has laughed at me to scorn. Her beast mother has seething hatred for me. It's all unjust. Why hasn't someone else ever come to my rescue except for you? Why are you the only one who ever cares for me?
I have compassion, and I can hear your pain. It is upsetting to see you in this state of mind, and I think Ajax is nearby and wants to rescue you. Allow him to help you.
Ajax, I know that name. He was once a friend. A partial immortal, maybe. I sense a man beyond the path. He is searching for me. Maybe he is near.
I don't think he remembers who he is or who you are, other than he will feel as if you're from the same soul group connection. Allow him to help you, and he will have compassion. Do not try to protect the others. Just get out. They have all betrayed you.
I feel someone near. There's a light coming through the crack of a door, and the dogs are howling. Help me, dear sister. I'm awaiting my escape. I'm seeing the clouds, and the night sky is lifting. Tell me, why you call me Andronicus? Was that my name?
Yes, it is your name. What is your name now?
Don't know. They call me White Dog now. I forgot my name.
How long have you been there?
Don't know. I just remember being lured by this temptress. It was the most horrible experience I can remember. I feel I've been here forever with this horrible family. Lao Chen sent me here to find pleasure. It has been anything but pleasure. I have seen children and women here. Everyone is a prisoner in this place. I can't see where their power source is.
Can you search around? What does it look like?
I am bringing in a light where I can see clearer. Oh, we're on a craft, a ship going somewhere. The space is dirty and full of rodents. They seem to be comfortable with it. The brighter I make the space, the more disgusted I am. These humans are being used by my enemies. Croissant. Cryptic, runic writings of an ancient kind. My friends, Kraton has been captured here as well as Ketron. They were also tortured or had an encounter with them. The grey stone. It moves as I speak. Come close to me.
Andronicus gestures to the stone and it moves toward him. It was left by Kraton. I can read the runes.
He left me a message. My memory's coming back. I will reinsert it into my neck. Hold, I must take in the download now.
Andronicus breathes, as if taking a long drink from being exposed to a desert. He sighs.
Yes, my friends.
He nearly weeps, a pounding on the door. There stands Ajax as he thrusts open the door and begins to cut down all the torturers, and the tables and syringes go flying into the air.
Zeus, it is me! I told you I would follow you unto the ends of the earth and more. I watched you go through the portal and then was interrupted by the impostors posing as us.
He began to describe them as we know them as Archons.
My name is Andronicus. Don't call me Zeus anymore. I was in darkness when I went by that name.
Andronicus's voice was weak and faint.
Don't worry, I will get you out of here safely. You have sharp wounds all over your body. You must have lost a lot of blood. There are vials and vials of your blood throughout this place. Dispose of it, so no one can use it for any reason, good or bad. In this case, I'm assuming they were hoping to use it for hybrids and Archons. Maybe they already have. Maybe this is where the Archons came from. We had trouble fighting them, didn't know where their power was coming from. One said he was me. He even looked like me. I think we have a bigger problem than I imagined. How did you get here? I don't fully remember. I was tricked and seduced. It had been a long time spent away from women, and they used that to their advantage. It was worse than the seduction by Arton. I hate myself for what I allowed to happen. It's over. I'll never trust a situation like that again. Who are they? Who are the beasts that tricked you? They're from a rogue group from ancient times. I think I heard about them from the Titans. Yes, see, observe the markings on the stones. It is their writings. I have inserted one of the stones for my memory to be rekindled. Hear me out. This will not be overlooked. We need to find who is in control.
Ajax paused and sighed with a heavy breath.
I thought it was Hera. She looked different, but she saw me and changed her appearance right before my eyes. I thought she was here to have you rescued.
Andronicus scanned the room and couldn't find the woman who tortured him. He began to describe her and suddenly realized that she had orchestrated all of this.
There you have it. My real enemy was my wife. She betrayed us all. It was because I didn't love her. I scorned her too many times. Yet, she was a beast from within. I should have known through her unemotional false smile that beneath it all was her venom. Soon it will be over. We now have a direction and understanding of the source of it all.
Andronicus waved Ajax away from helping him and stood up on his own, not revealing his suffering-abused body. Andronicus immediately began to regain his strength and the wounds began to heal instantly.
We have a friend, Ajax. The woman from Bafar who helps me. She is my soft-spoken bird. I will be mindful to speak more kindly to the birds from now on.
Ajax smiled, assuming he was hallucinating.
I'm very serious, my friend. You shall see her one day. She's one of us. I hope she doesn't cause you harm as Hera. I'm not very worried about that. It will measure out in the end and be weighed in the balance. You shall see.
Andronicus walked with a slight limp and then began to stride stride evenly, as his muscles had atrophied for underuse over time. He was now restoring his entire physical, mental, and emotional systems. He then stopped and turned to speak to Ajax, reaching out to put his hand on his shoulder in appreciation for his help and friendship.
Let's return to Rome and correct a few things. Let's go find our imposters.
Andronicus and Ajax disappeared through a dimensional space on the craft. There lay a red string from a garment that he had hid for a very long time. A small coin, or medal, lay beneath him of a Caesar. The star exploded in the sky, and the dimension shifted unnaturally when they left, while leaving the makeshift opium den in rubble. A new era began.
Holy who? Wow.
Yeah,
So Andronicus was trapped in an opium den.
he was. I couldn't believe it either. I was like, well, where is he right now? He's just miserable. And he was sick. But as soon as he came to, he just shook it off like it was nothing.
That's
But I think,
the possession of having an immortal soul. That's the...
yeah.
When you realize that, bang, go back to the blueprint. Andromedan technology. Very good.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to explain it.
I was trying to do that today with my teeth. It didn't work. I think I need an extra boost or something anyway. Wow, that was pretty intense. Let me just...
All of them are intense this week. It's really, really intense stuff.
It's an intense week as well. I mean...
Yes.
It's been so intense. Oh my God. Yeah. I'm venturing through the non-colloidal field of nothingness. All right. Non-colloidal. Right. So colloidal means finely divided. So non-colloidal is clumpy.
I didn't know what he was
you were
talking
wondering
about,
what he was
so I'm
talking
glad you
about.
you described it.
Floating like a bag of weeds within the womb of an ungracious mother. Oh, man. And, vagabonds, which is mentioned in the theme tune we have.
Yeah.
And this is very interesting. Max had a guest on last night, and he said one of the things that prevents us from being our godhood is self-loathing. And this is exactly what happened. As soon as he stopped the self-loathing, he became a god again.
Yes.
Brothers and sisters, did you just hear that? I'll just say that again. The key
That's
was revealed
fantastic.
last night by Randy. Go for it, Randy, on the show. The key is let go of the self-hatred and everything will start coming right, because it's the self-hatred that is the saboteur that makes everything go wrong for us, that justifies its own failure. So, when Andronicus, when even Andronicus, who we'd call a demigod or a titan, when he when he was an opium den, he was just in a dreamy world. And when he was in the when he suddenly remembered who he was, and he said, I'm Andronicus. Yeah, it's like Neo saying, I am Neo. And he kind of snapped back into his body almost immediately, didn't he?
Yeah. And Ajax came to clean him up.
He brought some baby wipes.
I've spoken to Ajax before. I couldn't figure out why I was talking to Ajax, but he drifts around. He's in and out of things. I don't know how, but maybe like as a protector, as a bodyguard or something.
Just to protect the world from Andronicus. I think that's the whole
I know.
Okay, so Rhodan. I suppose you're wondering why you observe these conflicts of Andronicus. We're tracing history back to many incidents that affected humankind throughout the inception of growth and expansion. Today, you see sprawling cities and a population of many that are seemingly self-secured, self-knowing, and without the need for assistance by any. A species, the human race, is capable and prepared to go deeper into knowledge and understanding regarding your universe. However, you fail to understand the reasons why many things happened on your planet. Without this knowledge, it's unlikely you will learn the basic elements of how to live harmoniously. As you know and remember the many stories behind the problems that exist today, I've allowed you to share them with everyone who is attuned enough to listen. They don't care what your background is, or your gender, or range of knowledge and history. They care that you're honest enough and compassionate enough to be a clear channel for this information to come through. I understand you're not ego-driven or hesitant to share unique perspective that have not been considered or could be challenged regarding historical validation. There are many who would not accept the truth if it happened in front of them. If we stood at the threshold of any building on the planet, many would still deny our existence. If we created a miracle, many would call it an illusion. It is good to be skeptical, but not good to ignore certain facts. All of this evolves from the part of humanity that denies their connection to life, to Source, to God, to eternity. Today I will share a story that shows my willingness to admit that I was wrong. We had to learn how to get along with our siblings, as you understand the term, as well as the other beings who have a separateness in personality, where unique perspectives arise. I've had a disciplined conflict with one of my brothers, who you know as Ahura Mazda. We are all given regions of this planet to contribute our essence, our seed, personality attributes and kingdoms. I was given the region of the Danube, the Caucasus and aspects of Egypt, and a portion of the Middle East, as you understand it, by the name of Israel. My brother Khalid was given the Arabic nations and created a dynasty. Jakar was given aspects of Asia. Zamfir travelled within and around the planet, by choice. His kingdom was of a different structure, as he chose to create more beings of the inner planet, as you know, the fairies and more. You recall he created the mer people and satyrs and other creatures you call mythological. Then there was Ahura Mazda, who was given Turkey, Syria, and what you know as Palestine. We had a lot of conflict, and I told my story to destroy Mazda's children. I told my people to destroy Mazda's children. He created giants beyond the natural scale as the other humans. This was a violation of our agreement for balance. He essentially gave them an obvious advantage that caused frequent conflicts with the other races, that resulted in wars and causing many to flee from the dwellings of their birthrights. I disagreed with him and created a war against him both on and above the earth. He then fled and forfeited his reign in Turkey. There was a vacancy in this region. The children of The children of Ahura Mazda continued to search for him. Many then began to follow his son Zoroaster. Zoroaster was very angry about what happened to his father, and he introduced aspects of contrast and black magic upon the planet. This was the rebellion. He began to go deep into quantum space and alter the earth, the vibrations and so forth. He created what you know as mystery schools and brought many to vacant areas to practice these techniques. We can discuss this more at a later time. Regarding Turkey, it was a very sacred place, more sacred than other regions. That is why he had a smaller region. Much more had happened in that location that produced a very highly powered energy field. Few can alter what has been done to it, with the exception of me and my siblings. With the absence of Ahura Mazda, we decided to give part of the area to humanity. There was a man we referred to as Cyprus. This was not his name, but it was a test to see if he would be able to handle carrying the energy of a region. We gave him what is known as modern-day Palestine.
I saw that I was standing beside a man with a long beard, brown hair, and long white robe, with a long striped vest. The ground looked barren and rippled, as if it was carved by the waters and then left to dry to a parched earth. The soil lacked fertility, and I could see for miles without noticing any vegetation or trees. I moved away from the man named Cyprus and called out to as he called out to his God. The sky then opened, and he conversed with him and received the blessing. Then he was instructed to turn around and look behind him, and there stood a white city made of adobe like clay. The buildings were all connected. This was the promise of what would be his privilege, to own this region, not only physically but spiritually.
Not wanting the responsibility, the man accepted, but was discontent with this gift. He didn't want the burden of it. Not only that, in the eyes of Ahura Mazda, Zoroaster, and his extended seed, they were angered that this human would be in control of this region. Since all of the regions were overseen by those of higher understanding, namely my siblings, the last region came from a human perspective and lacked the power to keep the area free of darker energies. The human understanding is limited and unable to see unless they acquired a means to view from a higher perspective of wisdom. Unfortunately for Cyprus, this was not the case. Because of our many agreements, we were not allowed to step in without creating a conflict with each other regarding who already held dominion over fair lots. Over time, the area began to accrue discarnate beings, the Gobin, and of course the queen of the Gobin, Hera.
I was given a vision of modern-day Palestine during the 40s to the 70s, where I saw a woman who spread hate and violence to all who would listen to her. She wept and told stories that perpetuated feelings of warfare, dissonance, and sorrow. Vengeance was her mantra, a horrible mantra that was. I realized that this woman's misery was that of Hera. Then beneath the darkest point of the land laid her son, Typhon. He was the power beneath the city. Will it ever end? Can this problem be resolved?
Today I pulled Typhon from the earth, and he will no longer reign anywhere. None of this was his birthright, and he shall cease to exist. He was a spawn of Hera's hatred and nothing more. I have been reminding Andronicus of his poor judgment of continually falling into the trap of Hera's insurmountable abuse of power. She and all her minions are returning to a place of dust, so dust shall she be. Soon it will be his job to root her out of the planet and all stars, galaxies and planets where he allowed her to have dominion. It is all removed from her. Now he must root her out at every juncture to rid all civilizations of her poison. Poison she was by choice, and dust she will perish into. Now, for all purposes and universal agreements, my brother Ahura Mazda will return to his power as the dominion over Palestine and regions of the Sudan and various parts of Africa. We have since then reconciled. I see that Primus was concerned about an incident he had in Turkey. This too shall be reconciled, as Ahura Mazda left his transport for his son Zoroaster, and he stumbled upon it unknowingly in a former lifetime. Such mishaps can create turmoil and conflict. If he chooses to reconcile this event, I'll be available to address and mediate this issue for him with my brother.
Is there anything else you would like to say to us?
I apologize to all who are affected by the conflicts of me and my brothers. It is difficult for all of us to encounter such events. We are all learning to be more harmonious and air our differences in a much better way.
What about Andronicus? Is he in any other crisis? Is he in any other crisis moving forward?
Yeah. But this is his choice of experiences and part of his journey. The important part is that his journey should not be detrimental to others moving forward. We must remove many aspects of residual problems that must be eliminated in order for humanity to strive much more independently. Regarding Meetis, he is now fully cleared. His long quest and transient journey is no longer necessary. We needed to make sure he was not the cause of Palestinian offense. He was often confused with Typhon in the past. This will alleviate some of your problems with you as well. He thought you were one of his accusers. I suppose this is enough information for now. Be at peace with those around you. Find peace from within, and pray for peace on your planet. Rhodan. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so, well, okay, where do we start? How to live harmoniously amongst gods and dynasties of titans.
Yes.
Lesson 101. Holy what?
Holy Ahura Mazda.
Holy Ahura Mazda, yeah, he's another character, isn't he? He's not coming
He sure is. I know, I was surprised to see him show up. Very surprised. And also Typhon, too, being hidden under Palestine. And seeing this, like, void, this whole gap there, right in Palestine, and war going on perpetually. Because there was Ahura Mazda, and Rhodan had a disagreement that sent Ahura Mazda out and away, and so he lost that whole region of control. So then, with that absence, they brought in a man, and they called him Cyprus. That wasn't his real name, but they called him Cyprus. And he took over the region of Palestine, but he was only human. But spiritually, he was in control, and then these other dominions, or, dark energies came in and began to rule. And the woman that was complaining was, it was like she had the ear of her people, constantly crying and complaining and asking and yelling out for vengeance and stirring up everyone in a perpetual way. It's like he showed me this image of this woman.
Yeah. Do you know, when you said that I got the image of this woman who has reappeared on all these false flags from 9/11 all the way up, and she's always appearing as some character. And she's got this funny little nervous, ticky smile. It's a real tell. But she's played a university professor from Iran. She's played an innocent bystander. She's played a mother. And you see her on the news, and it's the same person. It's like
same person. Wow. I wonder if that's what it is.
It reminds me of this energy, and she's stirring it up. Knowingly stirring it up.
Horrible, yeah, like I could see it, like she, it was very dramatic, crying, my people are dying, we must go to war, we must have vengeance on every person that's harmed us. I mean, it was just hearing all this kind of talk. And then I saw Typhon there, like giving energy charge to it, And Typhon's very angry, 'cause that's his mother. Hera was his mother.
Hera was his mother by Zeus.
No, it looks like
whose father was Typhon? Or is she?
I don't. Some of the lore says that she just created him alone by herself.
All right, one of those. So that, I mean, yeah, yeah. We can see where the root of a lot of philosophy that has infiltrated the human race stems from. Then, I can do without men. There will be and da 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 da. A really separative female energy. We got a separative male energy. It's very obvious and patriarchal and abusive, but this is the separative feminine version.
Right. And the same thing is reminiscent. For some reason, they're still addressing some of the atrocities of what she had done, because everyone blames the male energy. Yes, the male energy says some men have done certain things throughout our history, as well as the deities are admitting, what had happened. But in this case, the feminine or the divine feminine supposed, which it seems to be really bad. Like she tortured him in the opium den, and really, I don't think he had ever really mistreated her. He might have rejected her, might have cheated on her, but hardly a reason, to do what she did. And not to mention that, she's not of a human nature. I mean, she's actually of a species called the Goban. And when she first came to the earth with Zeus, as his wife, she began to, betray him immediately by gathering people and having her minions and kind of lying about him. So, she's been a problem from day one. But anyhow, so she came up with Rhodan and with Andronicus.
Wow.
And linking it all the way to Palestine, which has been nothing but a horrible situation in the Middle East, perpetually. So hopefully this helps.
So. Oh yeah, and Cyprus, the whole Athena, Aphrodite, and the whole temple bit and all that stuff. It's all pulling together. Very interesting. So, okay. So one of the things is there's this character in the what we call our ancient text, what we ask about, called Enoch. Is Enoch the same as this Cyprus fellow? Is it, because he was made as a god? Does that mean that he was like a prime minister of this area that didn't have a god? So they needed someone to step in. So they made someone as a god, i.e., a king or responsible for the land.
I don't think it wasn't any of the rulers that we know or patriarchs that we know about. It didn't feel like it was Enoch because what Cyprus did was he was ungrateful. And he looked at it and he turned around, because I was there standing next to him and I was holding on to his left arm. So I was present there and I remembered it because I was there. Don't ask me why I was there, but I was there.
Where was there?
It was in Palestine.
In Palestine. So precise. Do you have a sort of, are you in Jerusalem or Gaza?
It was hard to tell because there were no buildings. I could see for miles, and it really just looked like it was covered in water at some point. Because it looked like there's those ripples of mud, and it had dried. That's
called post-diluvian. It's just after the flood. The flood waters would have receded, and that would be, they say that's about 12,000 years ago, or 10,000 BC.
That's probably when it was then, because it wasn't anything for miles. I didn't see any vegetation. I didn't see any plants or any trees. And then he was instructed to turn around and look behind him, and it was like a mirage. They showed him what this village or city would look like, and it was all white. It looked like it was made of clay or adobe. All the buildings were connected. It actually looks kind of ancient Sumerian, you know, but I think that was the future of Palestine or within that region, what it was going to look like. And he shrugged his shoulders like, I don't want this. Like he was totally ungrateful, like he didn't appreciate the scale of what he was given. And I don't think there were any stories written about him as far as he wasn't Melchizedek, he wasn't Enoch, he wasn't Elijah, he wasn't any of the...
There was a king called Cyrus of Syria, wasn't there?
I thought about Cyrus. I thought, because Cyprus sounds like Cyrus.
Persia.
Yeah. I thought about it.
Wasn't King Cyrus of Persia? I think so. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, it was. There was a Darius, there was a Cyrus.
That's right,
yeah.
Darius.
It could be, but all I know is that he didn't appreciate what he had and actually resented it. You know, maybe because of all the headaches that he got and, you know, kind of being in the middle of everything. You know, all these, you know, Rhodan being upset at Ahura Mazda and then all of a sudden Khalib's over there as well. You know, so that this kind of like a triangle of power within that space. And here he was in the middle of it. So, yeah, that's all I know.
Yeah, but here's the thing, you know, this whole energy of vengeance, this whole energy of revenge, of getting someone back, making somebody pay. If ever, you know, whoever feel, and you see this on Facebook, you see the most kind of new agey, blue sparkly, this, you know, desiring to cause some terrible thing to happen to, you know, John D. Rothschild or David, you know, Rockefeller or whatever, you know, just completely not at all love and light. And that's, it's like everybody's got a piece of Hera. Everybody's got a tiny little root.
Yes, because it's
like
all entangled in us. Yes.
Yeah.
You're 100% right.
Yeah. And that's what the war is, and that's how we do it. That's how we solve it. We solve those things in us. We take the bitterness and the jealousies and the envies and, you know, the 7 deadly sins. They all stem from this. I'm not happy with what I have. It's not enough. And you know, the whole thing is like, I'll tell you when enough is enough. And it's never enough. There's never the sense of enough. Ooh, don't know where that came from.
Yeah.
But that's Hera. That's the energy of Hera.
Yeah, the energy of Hera is really, she's really a megalomaniac. I mean, she wants to rule everything. And, but she's of a completely different type of consciousness than ours.
It's infantile. I mean, she's an infant.
They lack the consciousness that we have.
Yes. She's an infant.
We're not to be compared to them.
No. And that's the other thing that Andronicus was saying in the previous one is like she was torturing him and trying to kill him and like he wouldn't die. You human, you're not a human, are you? Oh well, die anyway. So,
yeah, he was actually he was hallucinating. He was hallucinating. He was taking in the medicine as if it probably shouldn't have affected him, but he convinced himself, probably from the other people around him that are being tortured, that this is the reaction. This was a reality.
Well, it must be interesting because, you see, opium is a painkiller, right? So the first thing it does when you take opium is like, have you ever taken a codeine?
Yeah.
You ever had a codeine?
Right. I met in the hospital, sure.
Yeah. Okay, so codeine is like a weaker form of opium. So if you ramp up the effects, like say you took 20 codeines, you know, that's what like taking opium's like. You probably get some liver damage if you did that. But anyway, but like if imagine, you know, how much more intense the hit of opium or heroin, which is the next level up of, you know, every time it's more purified and more getting to the sort of the active ingredient of it, which I have no idea is. Anyway, but opium dens and all very interesting. So look, he says, soon it will be his job to root her out of the planet and all stars, galaxies and planets where he allowed her to have dominion. This is like trying to get a garden free of dandelions. It's gonna be a job. He's gonna be busy for quite a while. Mind you.
I think he's going to make Andronicus do it himself.
Yeah, it's like... And,
send him back there and do it.
Exactly. No, I think it's like, weed this garden by hand, and I don't want to see a dandelion. Mm-hmm. And if anybody knows about dandelions, if you pull it out even by the root, if there's a tiny bit of root left, it'll grow and create a new dandelion and then spread, So... it's a real job to get rid of dandelions, but they're actually quite good for us.
Yeah.
Unlike Hera, who's not. Or she's served the purpose, perhaps.
Served the purpose of what we should not be like.
Yeah, absolutely. So.
Yeah, well, we don't know the good without seeing the bad, right?
Correct.
The contrast of all things.
Correct.
So, and we all have, like you said, a bit of that in every one of us.
So, look who's joining us. Oh God, I've got to get the guitar out, have I?
Meetis.
I've had some feedback on my my guitar singing, just like I'm just making this stuff up. It's just coming off the top of my head. I used to improvise a lot with musicians, and so I know how to just create a tune. So I've got to go and get the guitar. So do you want to introduce the next bit?
Sure. Okay, so we were going to do Meetis number 9, and Meetis is he's in a different place this time. Typically he's kind of been in a medieval time period, just strolling around playing his instrument, and he gets a little creative this time and is jumping around a bit. But anyhow, the series of events that took place in all 3 of the transmissions, I would say, are different. They're very, very different. They jump from one extreme to the other. I felt like that everyone was very, very intense this week. This week has been a very intense week, planetarily, I guess. So there's something going on that I'm finding that people's emotions are running very deep. And likewise, maybe it is on the other dimensions above us, where things must be happening, things are getting stirred up. So we see the transition of Meetis being alleviated from Rhodan's control. Rhodan had him watched as he was potentially accused of causing problems as Typhon. Mm-hmm. And so now he's free. And so we start with that.
Meetis number 9. Sorry. Sorry, I just...
Ajax, where's Ajax?
Yeah, I need... Where's my... Is Ajax my roadie? I need a roadie. Sorry. Yeah. I just went to get my guitar, and I've now got it tangled up in my head. Hang on.
No, don't do that.
Okay. Right. I did everything... Oh, no, I've done everything in the wrong order. Right, okay, so see, I'm trying to get the guitar over the strap over my head with the cable that was connected already still to the headphones, not cordless. I like cordless headphones, they stop this sort of thing. Anyway. Singing right. we're sorted now.
Okay.
Right, try again. I'm just going to jump down the chute. Ah! Hello, my dear friend. I've been hearing you speak about me. How lovely you should consider me in some of your conversations. I just wrote a simple song for a joust, and the crowd enjoyed it immensely. I suppose it made up for the fact that the jouster of choice did not fare well in the end. Right, how this one goes, I don't know. Let's try this D minor. No, that's a bit klezmer. Hang on. What bold and glorious winners, triumphant, stand solitary, sirs, as we blow our trumpets, seek highest quest, the doors laid open, trust God, he reigns as our dragon heart chosen. May God bless his soul and his servants before, let the kinship fellows be servants man more, free all the solitary ones in the land, forever let our kingdom stand.
Very nice.
Oh, yes. Probably not at all how you heard it. I don't know.
No, yeah, you know, maybe a little bit more festive, but that's okay.
Uh-huh. Okay. More major key. Anyway. Ah, yes. So, to tell your friends, I have moved on from the 1500s and settled in the 1200s, then arrived at a later time as Francis Bacon. I spent time with the people in feudal England to make sure they knew how to make themselves free from tyranny. Then I moved forward to prove myself as a leader under the surname of Francis Bacon. Oh, what a fun experience that was. I relished the ability to utilize the linguistic tool of my silver tongue. I spewed all forms of arrogant commentary beyond any necessary purpose. We are told to do what we do, and when we are not told what we do, we play. At first I burned the embers of time with debate and clockwork practices. I sustained a great deal of slander and had been challenged by many. Nevertheless, I moved with grace and armour upon the bench, and hardly shifted an eye when challenged. This was all quite necessary, as I needed to stride beyond my vagabond attire and lacklustre life into a more powerful, persuasive form of the grand population. It all made sense to me until I realized I forgot how to smile. My bitter temperament became noticeable. It did, noticeable, and I could hardly last beyond 50 years of age. Unfortunately, I didn't have a choice but to fulfill my agreement to stay a bit longer. I shall forever regret this experience of grievances and a life that lacked levity, freedom, and foolhardiness. I much prefer a life of ease and jest, with good beverages and a house of pleasant food served by the most buxom breast and pickpocket friends. I left a life of ease and privilege for nothing, absolutely nothing. So here I am, without a care in the world. Till I went back to the 1200s and found I was in a beggar's prison. Yeah, that was 1285, in case anyone is listening and considers rescuing me from that rat-infested, filth-laden foxhole of a prison. My name is Belfast John the Beggar. Oh, please come find my kind sirs. I'll be forever grateful and will expound a generous blessing upon you. Oh, stop that. I don't know where that came from. Belfast. Ah, coming from Belfast. All right, yeah, there he is. All right. A young lad by the name of Sam from Fresno. He says it is a city in the future. Not only did he free me from the stolen keys of the locksmithy, but he also left me this ingenious box with fire sticks he calls matches. I've gone all West Country now. So, hang on. Let's see. Meetis, come back. Hello. Yeah, all right. Well done, young sir. You shall be fine, Prince, Captain and Sheik. Oh, yes, duck before the bridge opens to prevent a serious head injury, and find your way back into the 1700s to sign an important document for the new world in the Americas. Carry on now, young lad, carry on, and I shall seek my never-ending journey upon the steps of winding roads of leaves and nettles. I spied upon a strange, sweet-smelling, odorous gent with unusual spectacles and flamboyant pants. I knew he was cut from the same cloth as I was, not truly born in this timeline. I corrected everything that I made him stand out brighter. I corrected everything that made him stand out brighter than a red fox on a sunny day. Sir, I stand corrected if I am out of step, but your shirt is a bit strange and your shoes are much too odd for our usual attire here on Shire. Might I assist you?
Meetis then cloaked my eyes from watching and sent me on the way. He closed the door and was gone.
Sorry, I got a bit confused there. Belfast. Whenever anyone says Belfast, I always go Belfast, John. I used to know a guy called... What was he? Was he John? No, was he Belfast John? Ah. Was he? There was Irish John. Oh, there's Gypsy John. There's Glasgow John.
This was Belfast John.
Yeah, it's TP John.
Wow,
yeah, Belfast. I have a friend from Belfast. Nay. So it is. Nay. They say all these weird things. They make these very strange sounds and strange things. So, there was Meetis. Oh, nobody's been in the... They're in terrible places. One's in an opium den, one's in the prison. Oh, wow.
Yeah. And Rhodan's not, having it out with his brother.
Not duking it.
Yeah. The Ahura Mazda.
Yeah. So where did Ahura Mazda go?
I'm not sure. They don't say, but it sounds like Zoroaster, his son, kind of got into all sorts of stuff, angry that his father was sent out. But, Ahura Mazda was making all the giants. Remember the Bible talked about the giants, the Philistines?
Mm. Yeah. Well, it seems like the orcs of Lord of the Rings.
Mm.
There's those big kind of... They look like just kind of human or sort of vaguely organic tanks. It's like a big giant with a great big brain, a tiny little brain. Yeah.
Well, supposedly, you have these giants going around, and Rhodan was angry because he was like, well, how are we supposed to have our people defend your people? Or at least, protect themselves, and you're just pushing them around and maybe taking over their land. And, you see that throughout the Old Testament. And when this information started coming through, I'm like, oh, okay, so that's the reason why. But also, you notice that they destroy all of the giants, and it doesn't happen again.
Mm.
So whoever created the giants, or what was the reason why the giants were here in the first place, diminished. And then you have it that it was Ahura Mazda who actually brought them in and created this whole experience. I guess, the whole story with David and Goliath and many of the others, but they were constantly in battle. And so, Rhodan, had it out with them, and so it, kind of broke a trust, broke an agreement. And, I think Ahura Mazda was there to provide some contrast. And then, of course, his son, Zoroaster, went a step further and actually jumped into the, probably with the assistance of his father, got into the depths of the quantum space and started altering things there, potentially our weather, some other things in the earth that we're not aware of, that maybe could be reset back to the original space, or maybe not. But
I think
I felt like that was a problem as well. And also the origin of where all our mystery school knowledge came from, because then he, of course, wanted to share some of that knowledge with humans. And there was a period of time where I was doing sessions with people where I was actually seeing these really strange spaces One of them being the Grand Canyon area, where I saw that they were. You still there, JP?
Yep, I'm listening.
Okay. Where they were just practicing with quantum space, and I was seeing these really large geometric objects, like a cube, but really grand in scale, a cube, a ball, different kinds of pyramid-shaped objects and cone-shaped objects. So, I wasn't really sure what they were doing, but I knew they were practicing levitation and anti-gravity stuff there. And,
well, yeah.
I'm also working with bombs, I think, too, and other types of weaponry. So, the Grand Canyon, I think what they said, there was an explosion there. It could have been from someone trying to stop this. Now, this is completely my theory. Anyone's free to disagree with me. But what I think happened was Zoroaster was experimenting with things, and someone, maybe one of the brothers, one of Rhodan or someone else, tried to get them to stop doing what they were doing, and created that whole Grand Canyon hole, with something exploding there. So that's my theory. I have absolutely no proof, but I believe that's what happened, as well as some of the other locations when they would just try to get them from stop messing around with stuff that they weren't supposed to. And it's because Ahura Mazda was sharing this information with his son Zoroaster, and they were in rebellion. They were in a point of contrast, not wanting to be in agreement with what the other brothers were doing on the planet because of what happened to Ahura Mazda. So, anyhow.
Right, but there's this other bit. The Ahura Mazda left his transport for his son Zoroaster.
Yes.
And he stumbled upon it unknowingly in a former lifetime.
Yes. I was going to leave that up to you to talk about.
Yeah, so maybe we need to talk about this off air, because it's I don't know where this might lead, so we need to
right. Well, at least you I can ID or have a sense of who was actually involved in this and how it was brought up, because you did know it was Zoroaster, but it was really technically it was a communication between him and his Ahura Mazda, and probably Ahura Mazda had to, get out of there quickly, and which caused the whole problem. It was a Vimana.
A Vimana. It was. There's a story that has been doing the news it's about since 2013, I think. Is that in the mountains of Turkey or Afghanistan or somewhere, depending on where the border might be at any one time, there is a cave, and in that cave is a Vimana. And the Vimana has a force field around it. And the story is that 5 US soldiers have died. Obviously, they tried to get into it.
Mm-hmm.
So this thing is still around, still causing trouble.
Yeah. But it was trapped there. It was in between space. But also, here again, was it left there on purpose just to create a problem, and a violation?
Interesting.
If they were angry, then, is it possible that these things were done on purpose?
Well, yeah, that is possible as well, that they were left as a kind of booby trap or, what's the word, a beacon.
Mm-hmm.
And this is probably, is this connected with Hera as well, the Hera connection?
No, that part isn't connected to Hera at all. Well, I don't know, maybe so. I mean, it seems like she kind of shows up in strange places, because you said that the temple of Aphrodite was there.
That's in Cyprus, eh?
Yeah. And what I thought was interesting is they called that person Cyprus who took over Palestine. So there's some kind of symbolism or something regarding that.
It's all very fractal, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's all very fractal. All right, here we go. Matt Abrams. Thank you, Matt. He's got some good stuff. Has pulled up Meetis. He was an Oceanid. Meetis was the first great spouse of Zeus and also his cousin. Zeus is himself titled Metitia, the wise counselor in the Homeric poems. By the era of Greek philosophy in the 5th century BC, that's 1500, 2500 years ago, Meetis had become the titaness of wisdom and deep thought, but her name originally connoted magical cunning and was easily equated with the trickster powers of Prometheus as with the royal Meetis of Zeus. Matt has a lot of synchronicity with some of these characters. It's funny that we all do. It's like they're talking about us, you know, the gods are looking down and taking the piss. So,
anyone else in the chat room say anything?
Let's have a look. That's very good. Didn't you say something about Frisco?
Fresno. Yes. All right.
Was it Fresno or Frisco?
Yes, Fresno.
What was that? Oh, you got that bit.
Oh. Yeah, he was, and he goes, I went back to the 1200s and found I was in a beggar's prison. That was in 1285, in case anyone is listening, considering rescuing me from this rat-infested, filth-laden foxhole of a prison. He said, my name is Belfast John the Beggar, and he said, please come find me, my kind sirs. I will be forever grateful. And then there's a pause, and someone shows up. He says, a young lad by the name of Sam from Fresno. He said, it is a city in the future. And not only did he free me from with the stolen keys of the locksmithy, but he also left me this ingenious box with fire sticks, and he called matches. So he left him a matchbox.
Lots of matches, yeah. Ingenious. Magical things, magical pieces of wood with alchemical tips.
So whoever's in Fresno that got into the time travel technology went and helped Meetis.
Wow. Sam from Fresno. Thank you very much, Sam from Fresno, on behalf of Meetis and all the boys. I mean, you see, the thing is, all right, this
may be one of our contemporaries. We don't know.
You don't know. You see, here's what I'm thinking, right? It could be somebody who's going to listen to this tape, right? Is going to think, I can do that. Going to go back in time, rescue Meetis, and give him a box of matches, just as a symbol to say, look, I come from the 21st century.
Okay, so listen further, right?
This person, Sam, might not even have heard this yet. Might not even be listening live. Could be listening live.
I know. And so here's the reward that Meetis gives him. He says, well done, young sir. In other words, he's calling him young. I don't know how,
Young Sam.
Yep. You shall be a fine prince, captain, and sheik. And he goes, oh yes, duck before the bridge opens to prevent a serious head injury, and find your way back to the 1700s to sign an important document for the New World in the Americas. I mean, I think it might be the Declaration, maybe, or something.
All right, Sam becomes one of the founding fathers, he's saying.
Yes.
And fine print.
Sam Adams.
Say again?
I mean Sam Adams.
Sam Adams. Was that what? Who's this man?
Sam Adams. Well, he's one of the guys that was involved.
All right. Well,
in the revolution. Also, they have a bear named after him.
Good. Oh, that's why you know him so with such a delightful smile. Yes, excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. Yeah. Excellent. Well, at least it teaches you the history.
I also thought about the name Sam with, what do you call it? The Lord of the Rings. Remember Sam?
Yeah. Sam the Hobbit, yeah.
Sam Hobbit, young lad.
Yeah. Funny. But what's interesting, that there, in two places, there's, now, who becomes Francis Bacon?
He does.
Meetis, yeah. So
Yes.
there he is, not only appearing as the angel, but he's also placed one of his people there. He's placed Sam there.
Yeah.
Would be interesting who was the person who noticed the person in the gallery, or heard the person in the gallery first. Because you know
Okay,
there's
and
this mysterious Saint Germain type character.
Yeah. Well, there's the other one too. Then he says, "Carry on now, young lad. Carry on, and I shall seek my never-ending journey upon the steps of winding roads of leaves and nettles." Right? And then he said, "I spied upon a strange, sweet-smelling, odorous gent with unusual spectacles and flamboyant pants. I knew he was cut from the same cloth as I was. Not truly born in this timeline. I corrected everything that made him stand out brighter than a red fox on a sunny day." And he started to talk to him and say, "Sir, I stand corrected if I am out of step, but your shirt is a bit strange and your shoes are much too odd for our usual attire here in the Shire. May I assist you?" And then he shut me off.
So did you see the person he was talking to?
No.
Because he's talking to a time traveler, isn't he?
Yes, talking to a time traveler. That's why he cut me off.
My first, busy.
Well, he's wearing his glasses, right?
Glasses and flamboyant pants. I thought, I wonder who's that? Sweet-smelling, odorous.
Well, it probably had cologne on it.
Yeah, it's probably had a modern aftershave or something. Like a military guy, probably, links. Do you have links in America? Mm-hmm. Yeah, cheap, horrible little aftershave. Anyway, cause all that stuff gives me a headache, the perfumes. Anyway, so that's very interesting as well, isn't it? Wow.
I knew he was cut from the same cloth as I was. Not truly born in this timeline. Sir, I stand corrected if I am out of step. Your shirt is a bit strange and your shoes are much too odd for our usual attire here in the Shire. May I assist you?
In the Shire. Oh, well. So that's Meetis. So altogether, what have we learned today? That Meetis was Francis Bacon. That Hera was the cause
accusing
of
him of doing what Typhon was doing.
So she was doing false flags.
Yes.
All this, this is such an old MO, isn't it?
Yes.
And so now we need to recognize the vibration of Hera in all of the people who we want to look for, and we know that they can go now. Anybody who displays things like jealousy and, we're looking for people who aren't sinful, not full of sins, at least, that are, truly serving humanity. And for that reason, I'm going to mention one of the good time travelers, in my opinion, is Andrew Basago. And he may even appear as your president or as a candidate for your presidency. So from the time traveler community comes Andrew Basago. He kind of represents the entire breakaway civilization, which is like, I'd say the breakaway civilization might actually outnumber the Earth human civilization. What do you think?
I think so, yeah. I think it's very possible.
And imagine, lots of people might have been abducted who didn't come back, that's because they're on another planet, living another life,
Right. And I'm wondering, who do you think could be this time traveler here that was, glasses and flamboyant pants and shoes and, he could have been wearing military pants.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe he was wearing sunglasses or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, imagine someone from Stargate stepping through.
Yeah.
Even Daniel from Stargate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. Strange, sweet-smelling odorous gent. Flamboyant pants. I like that. The flamboyant pants.
Yeah. Odd shoes.
Yeah.
Shirt. Your shirt is a bit strange.
So Sam from Fresno is another, and another time traveler. This is crazy. This is crazy.
Meetis lives in a whole different world.
Yeah. Now, he said, duck before the bridge opens, right?
Yeah.
I think he's talking about the Einstein-Rosen bridge.
Oh.
Because they're slightly small. That's why they used to send kids through. You have to kind of run through a kind of low gate. You can't stand up straight in it because you'll hurt yourself. Well, there won't be any of you left. You behead yourself. But anyway.
Oh, I see. Yep.
Yeah.
I see.
So if you poke your hand outside of the time tunnel, you lose it. You have to keep it moving through the time tunnel. So that's why they used to employ kids. I think they've managed to make bigger ones now, but maybe the old ones are still like that.
Wow.
Anyhow. So that was quite.
Sam from Fresno.
Sam from Fresno. Well done. So now I need to give Colleen some help, and I need to also put on something that is scientific and clever thinkies. So I'm going to look in my archives in a minute and pull something out that's going to be good fun, which will cover the show, and I'll be back with Strange Universe later on. But Jess, any news or any announcements you want to make before the show finishes?
No, I think that we're probably going to be working on trying to do the live video shows. I think people had taken to that quite a bit, and so let's try to make that happen. We'll practice a little bit. And, maybe if it's possible, we can try to put this show in particular on video as well.
Good idea. Yeah, well, this is definitely going on video, but it's a short one this time. So
it is a short one.
Yeah. So we'll figure something out. Thank you very much, everybody, and good night. Good night, Jessica.
Good night. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week.